It starts with your calendar. Your weekly one-on-one with your manager gets canceled. Then it happens again the next week. Soon, you notice decisions are being made in meetings you were never invited to. Then the actual work dries up. The core client accounts you spent years building are quietly handed off to a junior rising star. When you ask for an explanation, you get vague, unhelpful remarks about cultural fit or team restructuring. It is a deeply isolating experience. You start to internalize the failure, wondering if your performance slipped without you noticing. The silence is loud, and trying to navigate a workplace without any feedback is psychologically exhausting. This radio silence isn't an accident. It's the deliberate outcome of an engineered workplace environment. You are not alone. These isolating experiences are part of a calculated playbook used across the modern workforce. Surveys show that 77% of workers have witnessed this exact pattern of exclusion and information blackouts. Even more revealing, 53% of companies are actively using or planning to use these exact tactics. Corporate America has a name for this passive-aggressive maneuver. It is widely known as quiet firing. Seeing quiet firing for what it is, a systemic corporate strategy rather than a personal shortcoming, is the first step to defending your career. To understand how this works, we have to look past the awkward hallway interactions and examine the company ledger. Why go through the effort of making an employee miserable instead of just letting them go? Directly terminating an employee is expensive. It requires mandatory severance packages, unemployment claims, and exposes them to wrongful termination lawsuits. But if that employee resigns voluntarily, those costs drop to zero. The company executes a stealth layoff without the bad public relations. Management's goal is strictly mathematical. Make the daily grind so unappealing and so devoid of support that you eventually choose to walk out the door. The entire process is designed to shift the financial and reputational burden of your departure directly off the corporation and onto your shoulders. The sabotage is structural. It looks like hard freezes on your promotions while your peers move up. It looks like the sudden, selective enforcement of rigid policies, like demanding you return to the office 5 days a week, while the rest of your team continues to enjoy hybrid flexibility. It also relies heavily on resource starvation. Your travel budget gets slashed without explanation, or your request for basic software licenses is denied. They withhold the tools you need, guaranteeing that you will underperform. HR departments might call this managing someone out, but the legal system has a very different term for it: constructive dismissal. Constructive dismissal occurs when an employer unilaterally changes core terms of your employment or deliberately creates a hostile work environment. Resigning under these intolerable conditions carries the legal weight of a standard termination. It restores your right to severance and unemployment benefits. Knowing the law means you do not have to be a confused victim of workplace gaslighting. You can start playing defense. You have to spot the signs early, before the prolonged isolation and constant scrutiny completely destroy your professional confidence. Your most powerful weapon is a meticulous paper trail. You need to log every instance of a reduced responsibility, save emails containing vague performance complaints, and record dates when critical resources were withheld. This documentation turns a subjective feeling of isolation into objective, actionable evidence of constructive dismissal. Once you have your records, you can force their hand. Start actively sending emails asking for clear written clarification about your specific roles, goals, and daily expectations. Demanding concrete metrics neutralizes the vague feedback tactic employers use to justify poor reviews. It is very hard for a manager to penalize your attitude when you have a written record of hitting every measurable target they assign to you. This strategy strips the employer of their plausible deniability. You are forcing them to either support your work on the record or admit in writing that they are setting you up to fail. Quiet firing relies on your silence and confusion. It only works if the environment pushes you to leave. By recognizing the corporate playbook and leveraging your legal rights, you change the math. If a company wants you gone, make them do it on the record and make them pay the price.